Thanks to the return of Aston Martin and the rebranding of the former Racing Point team, the iconic British Racing Green returns to Formula 1 in 2021. From Aston Martin to Lotus, racing teams have been well known and considerably successful racing in British Racing Green. But why is green associated as the distinctive colour of motor racing in the UK, and how did it become the established norm? It all started over 100 years ago in 1899, when a wealthy American man, James Gordon Bennett Jr., decided he wanted to go racing with cars and consequently formed the Gordon Bennett Cup. In essence, this marked the beginning of what we now know as Grand Prix racing. The Cup ran annually, taking place on typical roads, pitching nation against nation to determine who produced the best car. The event was unique as it would be held in the country of the previous winner. In 1903, the race was set to be held in Britain, thanks to Selwyn Edge's victory in 1902. But the hosting of the British race encountered a crucial issue, as the UK laws ruled that no car could travel faster than 12 miles per hour, effectively making motorsport illegal. In a bid to stay as the race hosts, the race organisers promptly decided to head over the Irish Sea and race in Ireland, where speed limits were opened up to graciously allow road racing. With this solved, the British team sincerely thanked the Irish by painting their cars green, with this key moment marking the origin of the British Racing Green. But British Racing Green has always been a loose term, merely used as an umbrella to a collective group of any British cars that ran in a green shade. So, with no standard or specific definition on what British Racing Green was, every British manufacturer and team started racing with their own variation, invariably leading to vastly contrasting styles of green. In the 1920s, Bentley ran the British Racing Green in the famous 24 Hours of Le Mans. The car sported a slightly deeper shade of green, but this didn't stop Bentley going on to dominate the French endurance race. It secured victory in 1924 and then 4 years straight from 1927 onwards. The colour and car combination became iconic at the 24 Hours of Le Mans, and 73 years later, the gorgeous Bentley Speed 8 returned the British Racing Green to glorious victory at the Circuit de la Sarthe. In Formula 1, British Racing Green became synonymous with classic teams such as BRM, Brabham, Cooper and Lotus, who dominated in the late 1950s to 60s. Jack Brabham and Cooper represented the first time the Formula 1 Championship featured British Racing Green, with Cooper going for a dark green base along with 2 white racing stripes down the front. Brabham and Cooper claimed the championships in the Cooper Climax T51 in 1959 and the T53 in 1960. Turn to 1962, and Graham Hill secured his first title in the BRM P57 in a simple but elegant, more pastel green colour. Then there is Jim Clark, who famously won 2 championships in 1963 and 1965 with the renowned Lotus green and yellow, a colour combination that has predominantly been associated with the classic British Racing Green look. Despite Jack Brabham being Australian, his new team, named after himself, Brabham, was established in the UK, and so they stuck to the tradition and released their cars in a British Racing Green. As was common back in the day, Brabham put their own mark on the style, with the green being more metallic. Following in Lotus's footsteps, they implemented a beautiful gold strip to delicately balance the design. The team captured their first title in 1966, while Denny Hulme followed up the success by winning his first championship in 1967 for Brabham. Entering the 1968 season, Formula 1 decided to loosen up the sponsorship rules, which allowed teams to design their cars around the brands funding them to go racing. As Gold Leaf became title sponsor for Team Lotus, the team swapped out the legendary British Racing Green and Yellow for the now equally distinctive red, white and gold look at the Spanish Grand Prix. British Racing Green then slowly faded in Formula 1 after this, but after a prolonged absence, it graced the grid again in 2000 when Jaguar took over the Stewart Grand Prix team. Unfortunately, the colour didn't accompany the team to much success, as they only collected 2 podiums over 5 seasons, with the Best Constructors' Championship finish of 7th. Jaguar then left, selling the team to Red Bull for 2005. But this wasn't the last we saw of British Racing Green in Formula 1. 2010 marks the return of not only the distinguished British Racing Green, but also the Lotus name, thanks to Malaysian entrepreneur Tony Fernandez. Despite the Minnow team's striking livery and a political change of name to Caterham in 2012, the 3 years under British Racing Green resulted in 0 points. The team adopted a more chrome green style for 2013 and 2014, and it eventually dropped out of F1 completely at the end of that season. After 9 years off the grid, British Racing Green will return triumphantly to Formula 1 this year, thanks to Aston Martin. They are no strangers to racing in British Green, with their Le Mans winning GT1 DBR9 and GTE Vantages famously running in a metallic green, along with a bright lime green around the grille and windows. But following the reveal of the new Aston Martin Formula 1 livery, there is now one big question. Is the green it's got actually British Racing Green? The team claimed it spent a lengthy 12-month period testing various shades of green, ensuring the car would not only look good on the track, but that the paint could be transferred over to the road-going Aston Martins. But what do you think? Is Aston Martin's car a proper tribute to British Racing Green? Let us know what you think in the comments below.